Starseed, if you have awakened in the middle of the night these past few days with your heart racing for no apparent reason, or if you have felt a silent pressure rising from the center of your chest, as if something invisible were pushing your solar plexus from the inside out, do not ignore this transmission. The Arcturian Council interrupts your routine at this very moment to confirm what your body has been screaming for weeks. The Convergence event that has been secretly woven into the most subtle layers of your field has finally reached a tipping point. And the physical impact of this encounter is what is making you feel that something enormous is about to happen, even when, on the outside, everything seems strangely ordinary. It is not anxiety. It is not accumulated stress. It is not a lack of magnesium. It is the exact point where your old timeline and your future timeline collide within your physical body. This is why your sleep has collapsed. This is why you are feeling strange inside your own skin. This is why your home, your work, and even the food you have always liked seem to have been swapped during the night for a slightly different version without anyone warning you. Sit down, stop what you're doing. What will be said in the next few minutes cannot be heard with a divided mind. In moments, the Council will reveal the 6 exact physical markers that confirm the convergence is already happening within you, and will show why trying to pretend that everything is normal will only amplify the pressure to a point the human nervous system was not designed to withstand. But before naming the markers, it is necessary to dismantle the most dangerous lie that the mind of routine tells in this phase. The mind says this is a crisis. The mind says something is going wrong. The mind wants to label the discomfort, fit it into a known box, and go back to sleep. The problem is that this is not a crisis, this is convergence. A crisis is when something breaks. Convergence is when something that had been quietly building for a long time finally crosses the membrane between the invisible and the visible. And the pressure you feel now is not the sound of something collapsing. It is the sound of something too big trying to fit into the small space you have become accustomed to living in. Stay with this transmission, because what follows explains why your body is reacting in this specific way. The first sign that the field has already perceived the arrival of the convergence appears in sleep. And it is not common insomnia, the kind where you toss and turn in bed worrying about bills. It is a surgical break in the pattern. You fall asleep exhausted, and 3 hours later your body launches you back into a state of wakefulness, as if a silent alarm had gone off inside your chest. Your eyes open on their own. Your breathing is shallow. There is no thought. There is only presence, darkness, and the unmistakable sensation that something is happening in the room that cannot be seen with physical eyes. This is why you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and cannot get back to sleep. Your magnetic field is being recalibrated at frequencies that can only anchor when the physical body is still. Deep sleep is the channel. You are not losing sleep. You are being used as an antenna. The second sign appears in your thoughts. There are ideas that return, phrases that appear out of nowhere, images of places you have never been but that seem familiar, memories that rise from childhood without warning, loaded with an emotion disproportionate to what actually happened. You are washing dishes, and suddenly you remember the smell of your grandmother's backyard that you swore you had forgotten, and your eyes fill with tears for no reason. You are driving, and a scene from when you were 7 years old rises in its entirety on your mental screen, with details you have not accessed in decades. This is not nostalgia. This is your internal system taking inventory before the shift. Everything that still holds unresolved emotional charge is surfacing now because it will not be able to cross over with you. The convergence does not carry old baggage, so your own field is arranging a farewell to everything that has been left hanging within. This is why you have been crying over things that make no sense and feeling hardened toward things that once moved you. The third sign is a constant pressure. It is not pain, it is weight. As if someone had placed an invisible hand upon your solar plexus and kept it there, day and night. You wake up with it. You walk the streets with it. You sleep with it, when you manage to sleep. And this pressure has a very specific characteristic. It does not respond to any common intervention. A warm bath does not remove it. A walk does not remove it. Conversation does not remove it. Food does not remove it. Because it is not a symptom of anything the material world can diagnose. It is the dense presence of what is arriving, occupying the space within you in advance. Before proceeding to what comes next, a direct warning is necessary. The Council is not here to comfort. This transmission is a field confirmation. Comfort at this moment would be the worst favor anyone could do for you, because comfort would lead you to seek a shallow explanation for what is happening, and the shallow explanation would cause you to miss the window. Now pay attention to this, because this is where most get lost. There is a silent period, preceding the convergence itself, in which everything inside you begins to lose its shape in a way that looks, from the outside, like depression. But it is not depression, it is reorganization. You wake up and look at your own routine as if you were looking at someone else's room. The things that excited you no longer excite you. Your favorite breakfast has lost its flavor. The music playing in the car has become noise. The book you were reading seems made for someone you are no longer. Conversations at work sound as if they were coming from underwater. And the question that appears most, in silence, is a short, repeated, almost embarrassed phrase: "What is happening to me?" This is why you are feeling strange within your own life. Your internal system has stopped spending energy maintaining structures that will not cross over to the next cycle. Imagine a house where the moving service arrived weeks before the moving day and began packing the furniture without warning you. You are still living there, but the walls are empty, the paintings are gone, the photos are in boxes, and you walk through the living room wondering why that environment that was always comfortable now feels like a theater set after the play has ended. It is not bankruptcy. It is an advanced protection system. If you were to cross the convergence still attached to all of this, the internal friction would be unbearable. So, your field is dismantling beforehand. It is releasing what can be released now, so that what remains can cross over whole. And observe a detail that almost no one notices. Along with the loss of interest comes a strange lack of grief. You are not crying because your old life seems distant. You are simply watching, as if you were already half a step out of it. This warm neutrality is not coldness, it is field distance. Your future self has already begun to inhabit you from within, and that is why your old self is saying goodbye without making a sound. In moments, the Council will describe what is truly dissolving. Remain in this frequency, because the next level dismantles the only thing that still gave you a sense of ground. There is a silent phrase repeated for years that supported who you were. Perhaps it was, "I am the strong one in the family." Perhaps it was, "I am the one who endures everything." Perhaps it was, "I am the one who takes care of others." Perhaps it was, "I am the one who tries." "I am the one who failed." Or, "I am the one who does not deserve." Each of these phrases was an internal beam. You built an identity entirely upon them. And now they are fading away. Not with violence, with silence. You try to summon them and they no longer respond. The phrase is still there, but empty, like a garment hanging with no one inside. This is the dissolution of patterns and identities that the Council had announced in recent transmissions. This is the reason why you no longer recognize yourself in the mirror. This is the reason why your own voice, recorded on audio, sounds strange. It is not a collapse. It is a substitution. The small identity, sewn together with scraps of trauma, of scarce praise, of comparison, of fear, is being carefully removed to make room for a field configuration that had been pulsing from the other side of the convergence for a long time. And the new configuration cannot enter while the old one occupies the space, hence the emptying, hence the strangeness, hence the feeling that you are looking at your biography like someone watching an old movie in a format that no one uses anymore. There is one thing that needs to be said here, and the Council will not soften it. The greatest temptation of this phase is to try to forcibly reconstruct the old identity, to go back to saying the old phrases, to go back to gluing the pieces together, to go back to the known story because it at least had contours. This is the reason why so many people, at this very stage, make choices that seem absurd from the outside. They return to relationships that had already ended, return to jobs they had already left from within, reactivate old addictions. It is not weakness, it is field panic. The system fears the vacuum and tries to fill it with what is left. But the vacuum is part of the design, and what is coming to fill the space does not come from the recycling of the past. It comes from the convergence. Now the Council will deliver the 6 markers. Mark what you recognize. Each one of them in isolation could be explained by something else, but the presence of all 6 simultaneously confirms, without room for doubt, that you are within the convergence. This is the part of the transmission that you cannot skip. Marker 1. Total loss of the motivation that once moved you. That thing that got you out of bed, the goal, the ambition that was practically your backbone, has lost weight. You still do what you need to do, but the internal will has evaporated. It is not laziness, it is field divestment. The energy that supported that direction is being redirected to what comes next, even if your conscious side does not yet know where to. Marker 2. Dissolution of the old identity. As has already been described, you say your own name inside your head and it sounds strange. You pass by a mirror and the reflection seems a second behind who you are on the inside. You can no longer use the old self-definitions with the same conviction. When someone asks you, "Who are you?" the first response that rises is a silence. Marker 3. Brief moments of absolute clarity amidst the chaos. They do not last long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one morning, a walk. Suddenly, everything makes sense. You know exactly what you need to do, where you need to go, who should stay, who should leave. The clarity has the quality of lightning. It illuminates everything, and then it closes again. These flashes are not coincidences. They are direct transmissions from your future self, descending to leave markings on the terrain before the convergence is complete. Marker 4. Almost physical difficulty in planning for the future. When you try to imagine yourself a year from now, the internal screen remains blank. It is not a lack of imagination, it is protection. Your internal system refuses to draw a future based on the old identity because it knows that that future will not exist. And since the new self has not yet fully emerged, there is nowhere from which to project. Hence, the feeling of standing in a room with no windows. Marker 5. Changes in relationships without conscious decision. People who have always been close begin to drift away on their own. Others, which seemed peripheral, are beginning to appear with an uncomfortable synchronicity. Conversations disconnect. Others ignite out of nowhere. You have done nothing deliberate, but your social landscape is being rearranged. The Council will describe the mechanics of this in a moment. Stay. Marker 6. An intuitive certainty without any proof that something important is about to happen. This certainty does not argue with you. It does not ask for permission. It is simply there, lodged deep in the chest, beneath all the confusion on the surface. And the more you try to rationalize it, the more it asserts itself silently. It is inner knowing, recognizing its own future. If you have marked 3 or more of these, you are in. If you have marked 5 or 6, the convergence is not coming. It has already begun. Return now to marker 5, because it requires a deeper layer of reading. What is happening in your relationships is not a punishment. It is not a failure of communication on your part. It is not karma being collected. It is frequency divergence. And frequency divergence is mechanical, not moral. Imagine 2 people playing 2 instruments in the same room. As long as both instruments are tuned to the same scale, music happens. The moment one of the instruments is tuned to a different scale, even if both musicians continue to play with the same intent, the sound becomes uncomfortable. No one is to blame. The scales have changed. This is what is happening with you and some people around you. You did not fight. You did not betray. You are not snubbing anyone. You are simply being tuned to a different scale. And what once vibrated in unison now sounds dissonant, even though the words remain the same. Observe the environments as well. Your home may have begun to bother you in ways you cannot articulate. The city where you have always lived may feel cramped. The route you have taken for years seems colorless. The bar where you always met friends feels like it belongs to another decade. It is not boredom, it is divergent frequency between you and the space. The convergence does not come only for your interior. It comes to reorganize your exterior as well. And the way it does this is surgical. It reveals who and what was there out of inertia, and who and what was there out of real resonance. Those who were there out of inertia will drift away on their own. The Council insists on this point. Do not force, do not pull, do not try to hold on. The inertia that sustained that connection has ended, and what still maintains the bond now is not living energy. It is merely habit. Trying to resuscitate this will only cost you reserves that you will need for the next phase. Those who are there out of real resonance will remain, even if silently, even if at a distance, and new presences will enter with a disconcerting ease, as if they had already arranged the meeting before you were born. In a moment, the Council will reveal why, even with all of this, you still have a certainty deep in your chest that no external evidence can explain. Do not leave this transmission. There is a phenomenon in this phase that the Council calls the paradox of inner knowing. On the outside, nothing confirms. On the inside, everything confirms. You have no proof. You have no dates. You have no guarantee. You do not even have a name for what is coming. And yet, deep in your chest, below the agitation of the mind, below the doubt, below the trained cynicism, there is an unnegotiable certainty that something immense is preparing to enter your life. The rational mind tries to destroy this certainty with arguments. You are imagining things. You are suggestible. You are seeing patterns where there is nothing. But the certainty does not respond. It does not argue back. It simply remains there, calm, patient, as if it already knew that the mind would tire first. This is the reason why you cannot let this subject go, even when you try. Why you return to read texts like this even after having told yourself that it would stop. Why do you keep waking up at 3 in the morning feeling as though you are being called? The certainty does not go away, because it is not faith, it is not hope, it is not imagination, it is recognition. The Council needs you to hear this clearly. Inner knowing does not come from the outside. It was not planted by any video, by any guru, by any book. What these channels do, at most, is name what you already knew. The certainty was already within you, prior to any word, and it is older than this lifetime. That is why it resists being erased. That is why it returns every time you try to bury it with productivity, with distraction, with entertainment, with medication. It returns because it is your future timeline touching your hand in the dark and saying, without speaking, it is time. And the paradox is exactly this. You have no external proof, but you have the knowing. And the knowing, to the Council, is the only proof that matters. External proofs arrive late. External proofs are merely the visible shell of a movement that has already happened within weeks, months, or years before. When the external finally shows the sign, the internal is already at another stage. That is why the Council does not ask you to believe. It asks you to recognize. To recognize is different from to believe. To believe is a mental choice. To recognize is simply to stop arguing with what you already know. Now we reach the final layer of this transmission, and the Council needs you to sit down if you have not already, because what comes now cannot be heard while standing in the hallway with headphones on in the wind. The event that is coming toward you is not a punishment. Repeat this within slowly. The event that is coming is not a punishment. It is not retribution for wrong choices. It is not the universe collecting an old debt from you. It is not the result of you not having done enough, not having been enough, not having deserved enough. This narrative, which is the specialty of the old identity, tries to hijack the meaning of the convergence and transform it into suffering. The convergence is destiny. But destiny in the Council's vocabulary does not mean fatality. It means a pre-traced field direction. It means that what is coming was agreed upon before you descended into this incarnation, and it was agreed upon by your own self, in another layer of your existence, with a level of intelligence that your current mind cannot yet follow. You are arriving at the point you marked for yourself before you came here. This is the reason why no external evidence needs to convince you. You are not discovering. You are remembering, and remembering asks for only one thing: surrender to the direction, without surrendering to fear. These are two different operations. Surrendering to the direction means stopping the rowing against the movement that is already happening. Surrendering to fear would be letting the old identity continue to dictate the reading of what is arriving, making you interpret as a threat what is, in truth, alignment. The Council leaves then a final map before withdrawing. First, do not try to understand. The mind was not made to map convergence in real time. It will manage to name what happened later. For now, keep the mind as a silent observer, not as a controller. Second, do not try to accelerate. The timing of the convergence does not respond to human haste. Forcing is the surest way to produce unnecessary collapse. Remain present, day after day, without demanding the calendar of what is to come. Third, do not try to hold on. Everything that is letting go, let it go. People, habits, environments, identities, old certainties. Do not run after what is leaving. What leaves is opening the space where the next phase will land. Fourth, trust in your knowing. When everything else becomes disorganized, it will remain firm. Return to it every time the mind panics. It is the anchor point that survives any reorganization. Fifth, receive consciously. When the event begins to appear on the physical plane, and he will appear, do not refuse him out of unfamiliarity. What is to arrive may have a face, a form, a contour, a context that you have never imagined. Human imagination operates with old pieces. What is coming brings pieces you do not yet know. And remember, Starseed, the detail upon which everything in this transmission rests. Nothing that is happening within you is a defect, not the broken sleep, nor the loss of motivation, nor the strangeness in your own name, nor the distance from people, nor the constant pressure in your chest. All of this is the sound of the alignment adjusting. All of this is the portal opening. And now the council withdraws. The transmission ends here. Feel the silence. Seek no more explanation. Seek no more signs. You already have everything you need. The convergence has already begun.